Two teams that want to set the tempo early and make their opponent adjust tactically, and who on each of these sides is going to set that tempo and pace.
John Rush checks the watch, blows the whistle, and the second round of the U.S. Open Cup underway here in the Tar Heel State. Charlotte Independence and Carolina Core squaring off tonight. Yeah, Donovan Ricketts, we spoke with him. They didn't officially meet in any kind of matches, but they've played a bunch already. They've played a couple 60-minute matches, a full 90-minute match during the preseason to get ready for the year.
I was going to say, typically what we're used to and accustomed to seeing in the Open Cup is those unique matchups. Those, obviously you get some of those rivalries, those matches that have just meant so much over the time, but not typical. You'll see them every week and see them per year. But these are two teams that have got to be fairly familiar with each other, obviously only separated by not too far of a distance, and making sure that, you know, when we spoke to Donovan Ricketts, they had played quite a bit through preseason. So obviously you're going to get a bit of a different look than you would typically, but showcase some, not formations, because obviously these are two teams that are set identity-wise, but maybe just showcase a little bit of a different squad rotation or different look here and there.
Carolina had picked up all but 2 of the points in their road matches over the last 6 prior to losing to NYC FC 2 on March 24th. Meanwhile, the Charlotte group, they're 4-3 at home as this ball's taken away. Alvarez with an empty net capitalizes off the Pannenberg giveaway and scores the opener less than 2 minutes in.
And when you're playing in single elimination matches like the US Open Cup, being opportunistic but also being relentless with what you're doing individually and collectively. And Alvarez showcases just that, just never stops running. The ability to put Carolina Core under pressure. Turn really absolute menaces against Soda City. Jacob Evans had a goal. Rodriguez, we talked about, had the brace and the goal. Rodriguez has 4 goals in 4 US Open Cup appearances. Isn't a regular starter in their MLS Next Pro season.
Pannenberg aggressive here. Cheney was sprinting through the middle and Pannenberg knocks it away.
And on top of that, and then Canetti was terrific as well.
This ball rolled nicely forward. It is Cuevas. Cuevas taps it, and wow, what a save to start off the night by Matt Levy. This effort by Matt Levy.
And you have to like the response from Carolina Core, their ability to play through lines, the rhythm and the fluidity that they're...
That's a confidence booster for Matt Levy. He was one of the 4 changes that Charlotte made for tonight's match from the first round game. Cuevas goes wide once more. Juarez. Cuevas tries to knuckle it around Sis, unable to do so. Evans chips it. Mike DeShields clears it away. It's a fascinating matchup when you look at the experience levels within these two teams. You have some of the older players in MLS Next Pro that Carolina Core have in the Facundo Canetti is at 25 years of age. Pannenberg, we mentioned 26. You have some of the early 20 years of age players. And then you look at Charlotte, they have some super young players, but they also have guys that have played at high levels in the USL Championships in DeShields and John Baccaro and company. Rodriguez. Evans. Juarez. Here's a long shot that the other match, Tormenta and Foro being played, and Tormenta have the lead. 1-0. This ball rolled into the middle, a whiff, but a second chance is not a whiff. And how about this? Joshua Rodriguez scores for his 5th goal in his 5th appearance in the U.S. Open Cup, and it's a seesaw start. 10th minute, tied at 1.
It's just incredible the impact that Rodriguez continues to have for his team in the U.S. Open Cup. Obviously, this ball makes its way through to this far post, but that's having a nose for goal. That's putting yourself in the right positions.
Runs away from the pressure, keeps the ball alive. The goal scorer in this one for the Independents starts this transition. Inside of the 18, this pass crossed in. Alvarez taps it over. This time it's Pannenberg with a denial by Charlotte.
It is quick, decisive, clever. Look at this little layoff right here. And that is
maybe a chance to transition for Carolina off of the save from their keeper. Both keepers have made kick saves to deny great scoring chances. Tied at 1, second round matchup here in Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Michael Watring, Eric Dobransky and our team. Great to have you on board. Delightful pass again through the middle. Jauregui curls it, and it's just wide left. It's another dynamic attacking chance.
And you know what's intriguing is we've seen possession flip after each of them have scored a goal. I mean, we saw starting so much higher. They're climbing the field, being collective with it, turning Carolina core over, and now they've seen a lot more of the ball.
Charlotte looking to regain the lead. Here's this cross over Jauregui. A whiff on that, and finally cleared by Cuevas.
I'll say that for both these teams, what has made this game so exciting just 22 minutes in is this is a game that has not lacked bravery. I mean, both these sides, whoever gets on the ball, I mean, they have one thing in mind, and that's how can I play forward? Where do I want to go? How do I want to get there?
You have two teams very much playing to win, not to survive and advance. They are very much playing to be at their best, score as many goals as they can, and be aggressive. Excellent steal here by Njai. He continues his run, dives forward, cannot get ahead to it. Shaney curls, turns, and tosses. And it's Pannenberg with another save.
I mean, these two goalkeepers have got to be looking at this game and saying to themselves that I'm going to say the quick release, the quick decision. But to your point just a few moments ago, two teams that are obviously understand what's at stake, but a lot of the times when you play these single elimination matches and such a stake of a U.S. Open Cup, you see some safety, you see some casual play where you just want to play side to side.
Here's Cuevas winding up. Evans brings it back. Evans hooks it around. Juarez with a great juggle, but steams this ball high and over the top.
It will be a goal kick for the Jacks.
And that is not what you're seeing from both these teams. Sometimes you see players that don't want to be the player that makes that mistake, has that turnover, has that moment that causes the transition or the giveaway. So two teams that are playing to their full potential in terms of on-the-ball movement, off-the-ball creativity.
Second cross, ricochets and squirts out. And that's the first half whistle. So one apiece in this one. And Eric, we talked about how entertaining it was. Second half just about ready to get started. Charlotte in the white and blues. It's the orange, yellow, and greens for Carolina core as these two sides clash for the first time being a coach in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, and just a fascinating journey. As you said, highly recommend the read, and just incredible. It just gives you not only insight, but again, perspective of what soccer has gone through in the United States. And it also goes back to the rich history of the U.S. Open Cup. I mean, the longest tournament here in America. I mean, it's just so much history has survived through the U.S. Open Cup, and Mike Jeffries has seen it all. To your point, that 160 minutes, I mean, that sounds painful in itself.
A free kick now for his side to defend, and Jacob Evans will play it and get it back and hook this ball. Back post, it's thrown in. Another great save from Levy.
And you knew as set pieces started to make their way back into the match here in the second half, when you can get defenders to just casually move, the slightest of movement opens up so much.
Here's this cross in. Cleared out of trouble.
Maru replacing Omar Sis.
And Omar Sis is going to come out, and Swebu Maru is coming in. Evans taps the ball enough to slow it down. Jacob Evans swings this ball in. Doesn't get a winning header there by Zingo.
That's why you see a lot of games be decided in these latter portions of matches. Fatigue starts to set in, both physically and mentally. You've been making decisions for 80-plus minutes. Been navigating the challenges that arise in each scenario, each moment. And which team is going to put it all together and reward themselves with a goal?
Here's this ball through, a shot attempt. Pannenberg denies. Is there a second chance? There will not be. Big save.
Well, it makes it all the more difficult when you have two goalkeepers.
Debates his choices. Tries to take on Inga. Finally does beat Fabrice. Alvarez comes over to help. Two defenders with Juarez, the only man over. And he's the last to touch. There's no foul. He was asking for one. He was hopeful.
I will say this for both teams that have really affected this match defensively. Both teams have significantly tightened up their proactive defending in each of their boxes. I thought there was some loose defending in that first 45 and maybe even early on in moments in the second half. But both have tightened it up and been detailed.
Suarez, or Canetti rather. Evans. Evans flips this ball in. It's Rodriguez! A man with 3 goals in the tournament.
Up play. They've just not found themselves close enough to each other.
And Zingo pivots, and Zingo unable to get it off. Here's Juarez. Juarez whips this ball in, and Levy had it measured the entire way and makes a clean save.
For Carolina Core, they do have that collective distance from each other in the attacking half, whereas in second and third balls come out like this. Obviously unable to get the pace and the shape to beat.
And there's your full-time whistle. And we will need extra time. For the first time in round 2, we will have extra time. It is the 9th time in the 2025 edition of the U.S. Open Cup to decide this, or might we need penalties here tonight? Tied at 1, extra time is underway. It's Charlotte in the white and blues. It is the orange, yellow, and greens for Carolina Core. Both times, Carolina out shooting Charlotte. Carolina out of MLS Next Pro, Charlotte out of USL League One. One of the longest tenured US Open Cup teams in the history of USL League One. They've been to all of the full competition since 2015. 10 wins overall in that time, and their best finish in 2015, reaching the round of 16. Shift of field it goes. This ball curled in by Mazias. Mazias his first action in this one. He goes down. He's asking for a foul. Will not get it. Cheney instead carries. A man that scored 4 goals in 10 career Open Cup appearances. Here's Baquero. He was quiet after entering as a sub. Lifts this forward. It's Maru onside. Maru tries to find space. Maru taps this over the top, and it hits the strings. Charlotte Independence have the lead. Swebu Maru, the 24-year-old from Cameroon, makes it 2-1.
Charlotte Independence by number 26, Swebu Maru.
And Maru had still so much to do on this finish. What a ball played in behind, and the blend of composure. Canetti was somebody that we were fully expecting to have a performance that impacted this match, and again, this comes with a balance of giving credit to Charlotte Independence, the way that they've been able to screen passes.
Here's Cheney in. Cheney launches, and it's Pannenberg again stifling the attack.
And now this is the collective numbers that they were missing towards the end of that second half.
Injured player on the field. Halts play here for the moment. Last season, Carolina had to come back to win each of its matches in the Open Cup. They trailed 2-1 against Northern Virginia in round 1. Second half goals from Polanco and Joshua Rodriguez in the 82nd minute buoyed that victory, and then in round 2 they gave up the opening goal in the 28th minute before Indoy and Rodriguez again scored.
Number 10, Nathan Gray, replacing Bashir and John.
Charlotte makes another change. It's Nathan Gray, the 17-year-old from Grayson, Georgia, replacing Bashir Njai. This ball over the top. Will there be an angle there? Zingo has it, and Zingo trying to find a little bit of space. Zayas and Zingo. Juarez dances. Juarez lifts this ball, and it's over the top.
And this is where Carolina Core continuing to retreat Charlotte Independence into their own box, and it's left them opportunities where they sit 10, 12 yards away from goal, albeit at a tight angle where you're in that wide half space. Still, the way Juarez has been hitting the ball, you definitely don't want to allow him the freedom to strike from right there.
Some of these cramps starting to come into play, but one man that I think can argue with anybody about not having to worry about cramps is Mike Jeffries. We talked about his collegiate days in Indiana against Duke in the national championship game. It was that game in the 1985 college national championship game that would go 167 minutes in 85, 155 in Mike Jeffries' campaign in 1982, that forced the NCAA to make a change to go to those 10-minute extra time periods instead of just an endless cycle of overtime windows. Here's Bazaias. Bazaias back for Nzingo. Tries to carve out a little bit of real estate, unable to do so. Over the top this goes. Chica chases. Cheney gets an angle. Cheney hits this. And as he's falling to the ground, unable to put it on target.
Physicality here. This little touch by Inga, and then the ability to body out.
Thought about the first time hit, instead makes it a little bit more difficult. And it's out for a goal kick. And that brings us to the end of the first extra time window. That came shell-shockingly 2 minutes in to this game. Cheney plays it back. And here we go, final 15 minutes of extra time. It slides through the grasp on the throw-in attempt. And Charlotte clinches it in extra time. Charlotte Independence is on to the third round.